We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. How are you? It's another week of Great Lives on the Rise. You should know the anthem by now because beautiful Alice expanded the lyrics that Spirit gave me. So now we have our own anthem, okay? For those of you who may not know, I am Professor Jamila Franklin. I am the CEO of Oyende Enterprises, and under the umbrella of Oyende Enterprises is Jamila Sense, which is my aromatherapy company, which is underwriting Gray Lives on the Rise, and Gray Lives on the Rise. That's the newest baby to our company, and we're so excited about that. So, as I said, Jamila Sense is underwriting it, so I'm going to give some information about Jamila Sense. After I give you a little information about me, I'm Professor Jamila Franklin. I am a certified aromatherapist. I am a certified Reiki master. I am a certified metaphysician, college professor of psychology. I have my own clinical practice, and I've had it for over 30-something years, and I do avant-garde kinds of therapy. I specialize basically in energy now, and I'm specifically dealing with healing ancestral trauma with my sister friend, Dr. Sharon Reid, and I'll give you her background information. She is amazing. I met this beautiful soul less than a year ago, and we just clicked as sisters. She is amazing, and she is phenomenal. I'm just going to read some of the things about her. Affectionately known as the Thee Heart Lady, Dr. Sharon Reid is an engaging speaker, which is very true, dynamic workshop facilitator, which is absolutely true, and author. Sharon Reid incorporates her profession as a seasoned, licensed healthcare professional, certified hypnotherapist, and instructor in her thriving practice, working with clients as a relationship specialist and master life and qualified certified health coach. Dr. Reid wants to change the world with healing relationship trauma and emotional trauma. As a speaker, her message is to nurture your heart for a healthy mind-body interaction. Dr. Sharon inspires clients and audiences to take action and shift their challenges into a learning and healing reality. And I can attest to that. I've referred clients to her, and I have used her services because I had a car accident when my car dropped 2 feet into a sinkhole here in Atlanta. And I'm a therapist, so I knew what was happening. I had PTSD because it came out of nowhere. And I was referred to her by another friend of mine. She said, I have the ideal person. I said, I'm suffering from PTSD and I need help. So she worked with me. Bam, it's gone. She was amazing. Amazing. And I've referred people to her. They've all been very, very impressed. So without further ado, greetings, my beloved sister. How are you?
Greetings, greetings. I am absolutely wonderful and so thankful to be in your presence and on this wonderful podcast. I have been following and listening, and so I feel honored to be here with you today.
Yeah, well, there's so many areas we can go into. I'm going to go to your humble beginnings, and she's just amazing. She and her honey bunny, I call our partners, our husbands, and our mates honey bunnies. Her husband, brother Donovan, and Sharon, both are from Jamaica. And Sharon, let's talk about what it was like for you when you were in Jamaica and making that the sojourn over here to America, and how you have graced us with your excellent, extraordinary talents. So, what was little Sharon like growing up in
Um,
Jamaica?
Little Sharon was very curious. However, um, I did not live in Jamaica that long because my mother migrated to London to get
Mm,
her nursing degree. And so I didn't go to school in Jamaica. I went to school in London. And then from London, we migrated to New York.
okay.
And so I went to school and went to school, graduated high school in Texas, and then went back to New York to graduate college in New York. So I've been just a, I call myself, I've been a, a Jamaican mango, I've been a New York apple, and now I'm a Georgia peach.
And you bring all those wonderful experiences to your practice. When people are in your presence, they all feel accepted and just understood. So
Yeah.
now I know, because I didn't know this. I didn't know
Yeah.
that you were born in Jamaica and then you went to London. We never talked
Yeah,
about
yeah, I
that.
went to school in London, my elementary years. So I kind of have a British accent when I'm ready. I can really talk that way.
I never knew because you never told me. So I'm learning something.
Yes.
So everybody, that's why I like not asking people or sending people questions beforehand, because it's an
Yeah.
exploratory process for me too. So,
Yeah.
do you have siblings?
I do have a sibling. My mother and father have one other child together, and then my father has other children. And so, yeah, I have a sister who's about 10 years younger than me. And then I grew up with two brothers. Unfortunately, they are deceased at this time. And
Mm,
so, I'm here
yeah,
as I'm holding up, I'm standing in the gap and holding up the light for those that are not here.
you do an excellent job of that. What led you, and you have adult children as well now.
Yeah, I have five adult children, three boys and two girls. The youngest is 36 on in 2 days, and
Mm.
my oldest is 46 in December.
She doesn't look a day over early 40s, right? You
And
know,
I have uh eight, nine grandchildren.
what? Now, see, I had meant to ask you and say, Sharon, do you have grandchildren? Because it never comes up in our conversation because we talk
Yeah,
about so many other things. She and I,
things,
once
yeah.
we get together, we're talking about so many other things.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. And the topic for us tonight is your children are not your friends. So
Yes.
having five children, she has a plethora of experiences. It's not just like one person who has, a person who has just one child and saying that. No, she knows from
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and my children are fortunate because they grew up with the same mother, same father in the household together.
Yeah.
So we have they have some experiences that many others unfortunately do have. But I came up with that title, Professor Jamila, just looking at one day I was really observing how uh, teenagers, younger ones, and even adults were treating their parents as if they were children and
Yes.
chastising them and shunning them as though they don't know anything. And it's sad to see how that they have lost the respect that they have for, this, they're, as you say, you don't like the term seniors, and we use the term golden or mature
Mm-hmm.
or seasoned, right? And so it seems as though they don't have that, they've lost that respect of how to talk to your parents. And so
Right.
I really wanted to discuss that with you. And I thought it was appropriate for this program because, most of us who do have children that 50 and older, their children are adults.
Exactly. Exactly. And I concur with you, Sharon. I see people who desire to have their children be their friends, even though they're older. And I agree with you. No matter how old your children are, they still are your children. You can talk about things with them that you may not have been able to talk about when they were younger, but there still
Yeah.
be, to me, should be some boundaries. And I see people,
Yes.
especially some of them, if they had their children when they were really young, because
Hmm.
there was a gap for them. And so it's like they're
Yeah.
trying to recreate what they may have lost being young parents if
Yeah.
they were very, very young,
Yeah.
because the brain goes back
Yeah.
to what you may have lost
Yeah.
when you started having children. And they're in the clubs with their
Yeah.
kids. They're doing
Yes.
substances with their children. And some of the
Yes.
women are dating men their daughters are dating. And I'm like,
Absolutely. And
that's
they're,
inappropriate.
even though we look good and young for our age,
Yeah.
but there is still age appropriate clothing and
Yes.
age appropriate action. And when you are age appropriate, and that is subjective, but it's still you're not looking like the teenager. I appreciate when, people say, "Oh, you look like sisters," but you can still see the way I carry myself. I am the mature
Exactly.
one. And I think that once we carry that and we have certain values that we still maintain, that our children are not going to cross, like you said, certain boundaries. And so I'm
Yes.
really firm that I can be friendly with my children, or with, and we can jive around and have fun. But if you feel as though you can use profanity and you can do certain things that you do with your girlfriends, that's not happening. And I'm very fun to be with, but there are certain things that they know they won't invite me. So one time one of my daughters was saying they were invited to one of their friends' parties, and I knew them and their mother. And so they said, I said, "Oh, well, so how come I'm not invited?" She said, "That ain't your type of party, Mom. You don't need to be there." And I was like, "Why? What y'all gonna do?" She says, "You worrying about the wrong thing." And I'm like, "Okay, I got the message. Thank you." But that was out of respect to know that,
Yes.
that there are going to be certain things that's happening, that's just not my cup of tea. And so
Yes.
I really appreciate love that. But I'm seeing, so much also that the parents are relinquishing their authority. And a
Yes.
lot of them are relinquishing their authority so that some of them are fearful of the fear that they have off of their children, that they will
Yes.
hurt them or they'll won't do for them. So there's this fear that I need to be cool and I need to be accepting of what they're doing so that they don't cut me off.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I just noticed that they're just doing certain things in order, they're surrendering, and
Yes.
they're not teaching them the values. They're not being the moral compass in the relationship. And so
Yes.
even though they are an adult, that there are still standards that they need to learn. I mean, we're learning all the time. And because
Yes.
we may not know technology like how they know it, we may not be on today's trends and today's verbiage. We may not know that. That doesn't mean that we don't know anything. So,
Yes.
and a lot of them will tease us because I hear parents trying to use the current terminology and they're looking like, really?
I know.
They already know that that's not how you should be speaking because you're not they're friends. Friends use
Exactly.
these terminologies. And as a relationship specialist, and I work with a lot of families, I'm hearing terminology and I'm like, what does that mean? What is
Mm-hmm.
that? Where did that come from? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny, but it's not something that I would use. And so I
Exactly.
think that there is a big disconnect between how you the relationship that you have. And some of this goes back to, as we know, Professor, that these are old trauma wounds and so forth that have crept in and kind of taken over. I've seen, and just economics, because you know what? I've seen where mothers have treated their adult sons like they're their husband because
Yes.
the son is paying the bills, and the
Yes.
son is becoming now the role of the husband. And so now the order is out of whack. And this is how they can actually take advantage. I'm paying the bills, I'm doing this. And so here you
Yes.
go, as the adult in the relationship, just kind of succumb, surrender, play small, and decrease their worth and their wisdom that they have to offer. And so
That
in the
is
door,
so
and
true.
as far as the mother-daughter relationship, I see where, like you said earlier, they're becoming their best friends. They want to go party. They want to smoke. They want to
Yes.
drink. They want to kiki with their best friend. And when you do that, the child then forgets that this is my mom. Then there's certain
Yes.
respect and honor that's due. You know, my one of my sons were in high school. I would, come up there for school meetings and whatnot. And my son says, "You can't come back up to school." And I was like, "Why? What did I do?" He said, the boys say, "Oh, your mama fine." And I have to fight them because I said they can't say she fine. They can say she pretty, but they can't say she fine. So, he had that respect,
Yeah.
days, there's like, "Oh, that's a compliment," And it
Yeah.
was a compliment in his ways, but he was like saying there's an appropriate way to address my mother. And,
Exactly.
that's what I kind of want to make sure that we as adults, that we as parents, that we remain vigilant. We set our boundaries, right? And we remain the authoritative figure on what is should be accepted in our relationship. And it's
Yes.
not like saying I'm trying to control, I'm trying to treat you like a baby. No, we treat them like the adult that they are. But I think that they need to be able to understand that we as parents, as 50 and older, we need to remember that we have self-confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many of us are self-reliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to maintain those values and maintain the standards, because the truth be told, is not the material things that become the legacy. Is that foundation that becomes the
True.
legacy, the characteristics. So when someone sees my child, they like, "Oh, I know you came from a good family." Now, those are
Exactly.
things that are valuable to me. Other people may not care, but to me, um, when they go out, the foundation should be there. No matter what they get into, sooner or later, the foundation that you set is what comes out. So when my child goes out, she knows that how to carry herself, because I've always taught my children, I said, "Look, when you go out there, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your family. And then you're not
Mm-hmm.
just representing your family, you're representing your community. And you're
Mm-hmm.
not just representing your community, you're representing your race at large." And
Mm-hmm.
so when you go out there and you do certain things, your reputation precedes you and us. Because I'm sure you've had or heard of the experience where, you see other children, you'd be wondering, what kind of household did they grow up in? You
Exactly.
know, did your mother not
Exactly.
teach you any manners? Did your father not teach you, certain things? And so
Exactly.
those are the things that I think that are carried on as a legacy. And that's the reason why I say children are not our friends.
I think you so beautifully and eloquently stated the rationale behind that. Because I've seen some people whom I know who are making their children and adult children into their friends. And I'm also watching the energy of the adult children a lot of them don't want that responsibility. They want you to remain as their parents. Now they can
Yeah.
confide in you, but it goes two ways. As a parent, you don't want to know everything that your child, even if it's an adult, that they're
Yes.
doing. They don't want, you don't want to know about their sex life. You don't want to know about how many partners they've had. You don't want to know all that. You don't. I'm telling you, you
Right.
don't. Because people say,
Yeah.
they start telling their
Yeah.
children
I've said to my
TMI.
daughters, TMI. I said,
Yeah.
so if you got a question in there, now it's good to be the one that they feel as though they can come to you and I can talk to my mom about anything and be able to get some sage advice. Yes, that's what we are here for. We can talk from our experience, right? And we can talk from our wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the details is not for us. Tell the details to your girlfriends. You can just give me
Exactly.
the just the broad spectrum of it, and I can get it.
Exactly.
I can read between the lines. So if they have a heartbreak, we want to be able to come to them.
Yes.
We want to be the one that they can come to, and we can go ahead and give them some peace of mind and relax and tell them, okay, baby, it will be
Yes.
okay, because we know it will be okay. And we also want to be the ones that they know that when they come to us, it's a safe place. So if they're
Exactly.
too much like your friends, then they may not feel that this is a safe place. And so,
Exactly.
I'm really passionate about making sure that my children know that this is a safe place. And if you need advice, I'm here for you. But I'm not interjecting. I do not intervene in my children's relationships with their others unless with, their partners or their intimate friends, unless they ask me. And I'm not playing that triangle game with them. And I'm not having them coming to my house and if they're not married and sleeping in the same bed and rooming in and all that. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that.
Yeah. Or bringing their mates that you don't know,
No,
these side pieces to your
yes.
house.
Oh
And,
no.
and some parents are not, especially some mothers will allow their
Mm-hmm.
sons to bring side
Yeah.
pieces to their homes.
Yeah.
That
No, we're
happened
not
in my
doing that.
family with my mother, with my brother. Both of them are on the other side now. They've crossed over. But he was married, and he brought this married woman
Mm-hmm.
from Chicago to my mom's house. They both
Mm-hmm.
married. And I said, Mom,
Mm-hmm.
that's putting us in a dangerous situation.
That's right.
Suppose her husband and his wife followed them from Chicago and shot
Mm-hmm.
us up
Mm-hmm.
innocently. I said, you need to
Mm-hmm.
stop this. You don't need to
That's right.
condone this. And like I told people, whatever you do is your business. I'm not getting into that triangular relationship. If I know that you're doing something that is not in alignment with my values about my friend, don't bring it to me because I'm not going to sanction it. So the
Yeah,
same thing with
that's
parents,
right.
particularly mothers
That's
with
right.
their sons. They need to not be their
Mm-hmm.
friends, and they need to set the moral
Yeah.
compass. Because listen, mothers, if you allow your son to have these kinds of relationships outside of their relationship with their wives or their
Mm-hmm.
girlfriends, that's telling you how they view women. So they have to be taught,
Bingo. That's right.
they have to be shown that's not
That's right.
acceptable. You have to respect the relationship. If you
Yes.
are not
It's
interested
a
in this
disrespect.
woman,
It's a
get out of the
disrespect to
relationship.
all
But you
women.
can't
That's
bring
right.
your side piece to my house because then
Yeah.
you're being a codependent and
That's
you're
right.
co-conspirator. And I said, that's a no.
Yeah.
That's a no. I told my
Yeah.
brother when he was, I said, no, no, you're involving us. We're innocent. I'm
Yeah.
not having
Yeah.
it. So
Right.
no, so that's when
Yeah.
mothers are trying to be their son's friends,
That's right.
or you're not their friend.
That's right.
You're
Only introduce me to your your partner when you know that it's serious, that this is
exactly,
someone that you think is deserving to come into your parents' home and be part of
exactly,
the family in that way. Even though it may last, it may not last, but that's what you're thinking, and that's what both of you are feeling, and you want to introduce. I think it's almost the same type of vibe that you're not going to bring every man that you date or every woman that you date to your children if you have children
exactly,
by someone else. You're not going to just introduce them to every man or woman. And
exactly.
the same thing for your parents. This is not a house that you can feel like you can meet and cut up and have your little, secret rendezvous over that. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
We are
but
not
see,
doing that.
And that's when you know your children are not your friends because you're
Hmm.
not trying to win them over. I've seen mothers, mostly women do this. Years ago, this friend of mine has crossed over, but her son, and she finally found out was bipolar, but she was trying to win him over. He had some deep emotional issues. So she was trying to be his friend and go down to his level and communicate with him as his friend. It didn't work. It didn't work, but she
Hmm.
was thinking because he had some anger issues regarding her, and she was a social worker, but she was so busy trying to be his friend that she did not set the standard, and he should have been in therapy for
Yeah.
him to get the help that he needed.
Yeah.
And I've seen women, like you said before, make their sons into their husbands. I know of one relationship in
Hmm.
which that's like that. And it's really unfortunate for the son because they can never then have a healthy relationship with a woman because he's always comparing
Yeah.
the women to his mother, who is a codependent, who is telling him basically
Yes.
she's the best thing since cake and ice cream. So when she
Right.
transitions, he's left alone with no
That's
one
right. Yeah.
because she hasn't allowed him to have his own space to mature
Yeah.
and to grow into the wonderful being that he
Yeah.
was as he had set out to be. Because and confiding in them, I know someone too much. And your children,
Yeah.
the adults, just like you don't want to know everything,
That's right.
they don't want to know all of that. They really don't because then they feel
Hmm.
responsible, and especially if they're
Yeah.
male children, and they're trying to rescue you.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
burden to
This is
put on
true.
your young
Yes, this
children.
is true.
Don't
Because I
don't
had
put
a,
that on them. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. I had a parent and a son that came and she told him all her intimate secrets, or if I want to use the word secrets, but all the intimate goings on between her and her mates. And so that empowers him to, even the son to take advantage because he knows all the secrets. And
Yes.
I just couldn't understand that dynamic. So when you're wondering why you have a communication issue, is because you have now, again, as I said, broken the order.
Yes.
And so now he believes that he now can talk to you any kind of way.
Yes.
And then I just think that it strips some dignity from the whole fact that I am a parent.
It
And I
does.
think that there is, and I don't think, I know that you're a parent and the parent has a role, and you're a child and you have a role, and you're an adult child. And then how you do that also dictates how the grandchild will then talk to you.
Yes.
If you're so lucky to have grandchildren, that they're going to treat you the same way that they see
Yes.
that their parent treats. So,
And that was a point that I was going to raise too, because I have a former client and I was telling her daughter is adopted. Okay, it's not her biological daughter. But this particular person was in
mhm,
a serious codependent relationship with this adopted daughter, and she just allowed the even as an adult, the in her mid 30s and whatever, this daughter was having temper tantrums and manipulative to get her way, and the mother allowed the manipulation, and she was just and she was buying, and this is what some people do too. She was trying to buy her love, and I told her, I said, listen,
mhm,
your child's going to love you no matter what, no matter how the behavior is.
mhm,
You don't need to try to buy
right.
her love. I said, because that
Mhm.
the lines are blurred. Even when she was a
Yeah.
child, she had asked the child when the daughter was a child, the type of punishment that she thinks that she should have. I said, what? You gonna you're
Hmm.
asking her what she thinks her punishment should be?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's bizarre. It's no longer a punishment. I mean, there's no longer a punishment. But the mother had some real confused ideas about parenting, and she was a professional woman. She
Yeah.
had a professional degree and educated, but she just didn't
Yeah.
know how to parent. She didn't. She was so busy trying to win this
That's
daughter
right.
over, and so now the daughter has a
Yeah. Yeah.
has a child. I'm no longer in communication
Hmm.
with them, but I told her, I said, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I said,
Waiting
you
to
need to,
happen. Exactly. And I'm very
yeah,
careful on how and what I tell my children. I don't tell the ones that have children. I don't tell them how to parent or what they should. They may ask me or tell me, oh, they did such and such and such. And I will not suggest anything unless I'm asked because I'm very sensitive. And there's no way that I'm going to have one of my children say, well, I'm the parent. So I'm not going to have them give them the opportunity to say, this ain't your child. I'm not giving them that opportunity. So if they ask me, then I will give suggestions, but you have a choice. And
Yeah.
even when it comes to health, and they know that I'm in the health field, and they say this and they say that, there are certain things that I say, well, because I'm very holistic in nature, but I know what I did for them. But
Yeah.
you need to make the choice on what you think is best. There's no way I want it to come back and say, well, mom, you said that, now look. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always put it back in there. This is what I did, or this is what I suggest, or this is what I've learned. So you
Yeah.
can do this or you can do that. You have the choice. You know your child. And if it's beyond me, then I suggest that you go see the provider, you go see your
Yeah.
doctor, and let them give you the best advice because that's not my role. I can
Yeah.
give, if you've got a sore throat, I can give you honey and lemon, and I know many holistic remedies, but at the end of the day, you make the choice.
Yeah. What you're saying now, Dr. Sharon, is so amazing because you have very, very, very clear boundaries.
Yeah.
As a loving mother, as a loving grandmother, you're allowing them to be autonomous. You're allowing them to be supported when they ask you, and you're allowing them to grow up, to grow. Because these parents
Exactly.
nowadays,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
they are codependents with their children. They never grow up.
They never grow. I had one
They never
child.
grow up, and
That's
they
right.
never leave their
I
houses.
had one child that kept on coming, putting one foot in, staying in the house, and then going back out, and then coming back in, and then it created an argument between my husband and I because I didn't see his point of view was saying that you're not allowing them to grow up and become the adult that they can be by you keep on babying them and allowing them to stay. And so then
Mm-hmm.
one day it just said, Beep, I got it because I'm not coming home from work and I'm seeing you behind laying up there. You ain't cook, you ain't do no chores, and you ain't in school, and you don't have a job. Oh no, 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 no. I
Mm-hmm.
gave them a DJ by such and such a day. You need to leave because
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to come in my home and create an argument, to create situations that will create an argument because I was like, well, they're my children. Da, 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 da. And, that's another big thing that happens that I see a lot between parents and their child, especially if they have a manipulative child. Thank goodness
Yes.
mine weren't. But you can have a manipulative child and they will come in between the parents. And I've heard, and
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard, and I'm sure many of your viewers have heard, well, they're my children and they come first. And there is no man or nobody that is going to be in front of my children because they're my children. So my views are, which is very controversial, they are our children, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the husband and the wife cleave together and should be on
Yes.
the same page because as we can see, as evident as today in 2024, your children will up and leave you behind and you won't have nobody. So
Speak the
so
truth.
my husband and I are on the same page, and and I will may go so they don't hear and say, honey, do you think this, that, and the other? And we talk about it. Then we come back and we on the same page. But you're not
Yeah.
gonna play me against him so that you can get your way and vice versa. And so I think it's important that single mothers in particular, but married couples, when they have their children, I see this happen more in adolescence, is that they try to play one against the other. And,
Yes.
and and also happens when there are blended families, right?
Oh,
When
I
there
was.
are
That's what I was going to
blended
talk about.
families, this is
Yes.
my child, and you're not going to tell me how to discipline them, right? You're not going to discipline them, and you're not going to tell. My opinion is that when there's a father in the home, he disciplines all children. All of the children are his children because he is your husband or
Yes.
she is your wife. So they now are taking on the role as the parent. So how dare you, as far as I'm concerned, how dare you say that's not your child? when you are
Yes.
married and living as a blended family. So now you
Yes.
are creating separation amongst the siblings, which
Yes.
still is not going to create a healthy, happy home. So everybody gets the same treatment. So discipline
Exactly.
how you want. And another thing why that happens is because the parents don't sit down together and talk about how do you discipline your children? How can we
Hmm.
discipline our children? I beat behind. I don't beat behind. What are we going to do? You know?
It's a compromise. Yes.
That's right. So they're not seeing the separation. So I think that parents always have to show that they're on the same page, even if they really have a difference of opinion. Show that
Yes.
they're on the same page. But then in their secret quarters, in their bedroom, they discuss, okay, I didn't agree with that. What do you think? And so forth, and come up together. So this is some of the things that we want to help, that I help facilitate, and that I am sharing is for food for thought, that if you're in such a situation, it's always best to have that conversation outside. We don't argue in front of our children, because adult things are for adults and children's things are for children. I believe so much. So people
Yes.
may say that's old school, but I'm not going to argue and cuss and fight my husband in front of my children, because now we
Yes.
have brought them in and now they are part of the equation. No, they're not. So, I know
I
that's a real
love that.
controversial, but that's, like I keep
No.
on saying, that's my opinion. And I can see that
No.
that
No.
helps to create more of a healthier environment than dividing and manipulating against each other.
But that's why you're such an excellent therapist and you come from the heart. You're not from the head. You're not linear. I'm not linear at all. And that's what I love about you, because you're using some theory and you're using practical experiences and you're using cultural milieu. All of that's blended. So it's synergistic, and it's not this over here, because some people read the book and they follow the book, use Dr. Spock's book to spank their behinds with. Dr. Spock stuff was so out of order, so crazy. And people read the book and they follow it. And it's not part of your cultural understanding. It's not part of what your
Yes,
heart feels. And you're just trying to
that's right.
follow something that's very linear. And we have
Yes,
now generations of children
yes,
who were raised by people who didn't follow their instinctual uh, knowledge and their cultural
yes,
beliefs. So this is what I want to do now in the last 17 minutes of
that's right.
our
That's right.
show. Talk about,
Yes, ma'am.
you can give maybe, because how we do this, you and I, it's always anonymous, an experience, and you did one of some of your clients who may not have had had boundaries, and how you were able to show them how they could empower themselves, because they were giving away their power by allowing their
Mhm.
adult children to manipulate them and run the household. And they allow them not to
Yeah.
pay bills and not to take
Um,
financial
right.
responsibility. And I'm like, okay, if this is a male and he's not taking responsibility in your house, how is he going to be in a relationship and with a wife, or if it's a
Yeah,
same-sex relationship, how is he going to make that jump in terms of being
that's right.
responsible? Because you haven't made him be responsible in your household. You've
That's
been a
right.
codependent with him. So how is
Right.
he going to reverse that? But
Yeah.
what advice would you give?
Well, I've had two examples. I've had a parents came to me, and the mother was upset with the son because his girlfriend was buying him. Now, the son didn't have a job, so the girlfriend was buying him clothes and those expensive sneakers and cologne and watches. And
Wow.
I said to her that if it were me, because I don't give that type of advice out. I just give different perspectives. And so I said, well, one perspective, if it was me, I would call the woman up and said, oh, so you're taking care of this young man. Since you are buying clothes and buying things, I'm sure that he might as well just move in. Why are you looking after someone who also lives in the mother's house? And so I
Mhm.
gave her some different, ways that she can present this to the young lady. Now, usually I wouldn't say interfere, but the young lady is the one who needed to learn the lesson,
Exactly.
not the son. The son was, the young lady needed to be able to set the standards in that particular situation. So she did.
Exactly.
She called the young lady, and this is how she did it beautifully. She says, "Oh, so when are y'all expecting to have a child?" And she said, "Excuse me?"
Mm-hmm.
She said, "We're not expecting to have a child." I said, "Well, you're living as husband and wife, and you're acting and you're buying all of these things." And the young lady, she said, was so quiet. And the next thing you know, the gifts stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one real funny example of that. Then recently we had a client where it was cultural differences, and he was angry that the mother had maintained her cultural um, beliefs and standards and traditions. And he was thinking more on the Western um, ideology. So he was angry that the mother was putting up with certain things that he felt like she shouldn't. But her culture said that, hey, this is the way we do things. And he had to get a greater understanding on why she was that way. You couldn't be angry because those were the beliefs that she was brought up. And so it was suggested that he go visit and that he be able to see and understand the culture from their point of view, so that
Mm-hmm.
now you can look at your mother and be able to understand, oh, this is why she does such and such. But it was also classic that when there's even abuse in the home, the person is on the side of the abuser rather than the abused. And that is
Right.
because they feel that the abused should be the protector or should know better or do better. So now they're angry at the abused and take the side of the
Right.
abuser. So that, in theory, happens, and then we have to be able to let them see the perspectives on why one acts this way and the other way, and that it is not their position to judge, but it is their
Mm-hmm.
position to have some empathy and to remain the role as the child.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens between the two parents is really not your business. What your
Exactly.
business, what's
Exactly. It's
happening,
none of your
that's not your
business.
business.
It's none of
Even
your
though you
business.
see that
Yeah.
you have to understand. Now, of course, if you're seeing physical abuse and so forth,
Right. That's
then
different.
there is some intervention that needs to be done.
Yes.
So I'm not talking about that. But if
Yes.
there are some cultures where they allow the husband to have multiple wives or women in their lives, and the mother is fine with it. She doesn't have a problem with it. So you as a child can't go in and tell her how wrong and so forth. She'll figure it out. That's not your business. As long
Yes.
as you're being taken care of, being
Yes.
respected and getting what you need to leave grown folks things alone.
And
So,
that's
that is some quite a things that come up in the in my sessions. Also, like we talked a little bit about it before, the woman being with a married man or vice versa, and just really teaching them to understand the value and how that is a repercussion of for all women in general,
yes.
and how
Yes.
they
Yes. Yes.
view, and also how they view themselves. Because if you
Yes.
ask them, if you are going to do this to another woman, then more than likely, if he does that for you, then how dare you say something? Because you were the other
Exactly.
woman. So now that he has another woman, now you're going to get upset, but you were the other woman.
Ex- Precisely. And how can you be upset? Then in 5 minutes or less,
Yes.
I want us to talk about your wonderful program, Family Constellations. What you do, you're doing an amazing job with
Healing.
that.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
wish we had
It's
spent
family
more time. I will
constellations.
bring
And
you
I
back. We only
thank
have
you.
8 minutes left, and I want you to give people your contact information. Give them your
Thank
contact
you so
information
much.
now. Give them your contact information now,
Okay.
and then we talk a little bit about
So
family constellations.
you can email me at Sharon at the Heart Lady. That's Thee Heart Lady. My Instagram is at the Heart Lady, and my Facebook is Sharon the Heart Lady Reid.
Okay.
And then I'm sure that in the description that there will be how to book schedule an appointment. It just says let's chat so we can talk, and then we can see if we can move forward from there. So, and that will be heal.me slash
Yes.
the heart lady. No
And
dot
she's
com,
amazing.
just heal.me slash the heart lady. And you put that in your browser, and then you'll see me and all my credentials and all of
And her
that stuff.
YouTube.
I'd love to talk with you if you feel like I can serve you. But going back to quickly, as you were saying, family constellations, it is for lack of a better term, it is ancestral healing, and it is a ritual from South Africa that has been taught now. A missionary went to South Africa and saw how they were healing, how the South Africans were healing their families, brought it back to the West and started his own program. And now all of a sudden he is the father of family constellations. So I believe that we take back what's ours. And so I present
Precisely.
it in a way that I present it in a way, putting my own twist on it. But it is where we start to be able to understand again the order of love, and to be able to stand in for each other and allow that we create an energy field, and allow that energy field to speak to the representatives who you pick to stand in for you and give you the words of wisdom, allow you to cry, allow you to get angry, allow you to ask those questions that you hadn't asked, those, especially maybe some of those who have crossed over, and you just need to be able to find the deeper questions and answers. And so you get a great understanding from healing family dynamics. So in a nutshell, it's ancestral healing, and we have the ability to heal generations back. 5, 10, 20 generations back, 5, 10, and 20 generations ahead, by just being able to learn the perspective, get the answers, and find some reconciliation within yourself. And then you'd be surprised how the energy just shifts. People will call
Mm-hmm.
you, or you just see and react differently to the people that you were angry with. Maybe you were angry with your mother. Now you have the perspective and you understand, why did she treat you that way? Because her mother treated her that way, and
Yes.
because her mother treated her that way, or the father treated him that way, and so forth. And so this is how it goes. It's a very interesting dynamic, and it is very specifically helps those of African ascent. For us,
Yes.
it's very important that we have the healing, because we bring all the emotional DNA with us. And so if you recognize it, then you are the chosen one to break the cycle. If you recognize the fact that, hey, I see this family pattern and I should break it, you are the chosen one. So now it's up to you to go ahead and get the healing that your family needs. And so you can, when you wonder, why do you pick the same man? Why are you still in poverty?
Yes.
Why do you have this
Yes.
relationship? Why are you even mentally ill? All of these things are part of the DNA that our ancestors need, that we need to heal. We can talk to our ancestors and ask for forgiveness and ask for guidance, and to help us change those systems that have created in your family. You're able to actually change it once you recognize it and begin doing the work. Now, this system works, and then continuing self work will help it so that you actually do change it. So it has been scientifically proven that the emotion, not only your physical characteristics are in your DNA, but your emotional characteristics are also carried on. So this is why you may always feel lack of, feel
Mm-hmm.
not good enough, feel like you don't have enough. All of those type of things are really behavioral patterns that have been programmed deep within your DNA. And so I feel, particularly for those in the West, we have a lot of trauma from being enslaved. and a lot of programming from our colonizers that needs to be broken so that we can be more successful in the future.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. I want you to give your information again. And also, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but she's an amazing clinical hypnotherapist. And it's not the woo-woo stuff that you see on television. She became a clinical
That's
instructor
right.
very recently. She's used the technique on me. It works. Okay. And she's not being invasive, getting
Thank
into
you for
your
that.
head, trying to manipulate you. No, it's not like that. So
Absolutely.
if you need to
Yes.
have hypnotherapy for any kind of behavior that you try to stop, like smoking, any addictive behaviors, or
Yes.
low self-esteem, this is the person that you should see. So Dr. Sharon, give them your contact information again.
Thank you so much. So you can reach me at sharon@theheartlady.com. That's my email. You can go into my Instagram with Sharon at the Heart Lady, and then on Facebook, Sharon Theeheartlady Reid. So I should pop up there. My website is The Heart Lady. So I've learned the branding, just keep it simple, and that's it. So somewhere it should pop up with y'all know the technology. And if you don't, you ask somebody, they'll teach you. But it's The
And
Heart Lady. I'm just learning myself. So
yeah,
it makes life easier. So The Heart Lady, and worst comes to worst, it should be in the description
yes, it
on the
will be in
YouTube
the
channels.
description.
But I would be honored to be with you. I believe let the healing begin, and it all starts in the heart.
It does. Beautifully stated. So Dr. Sharon, thank you so much. And Oyende Enterprises is the sponsor, along with Jamila Sense. Ah. Peace be still. And look at the shirt. We have our merchandise online. Gray Lives on the Rise.
On the
This is a
rise.
movement.
It's a
So
movement.
even if you're not a speaker, and Dr. Sharon bought a beautiful mug that's in her
Oh, yeah,
office.
I'm so upset that I left it in my office because I wanted to show off and sip my tea and that you can see.
Yeah.
And what I like about that mug, most of the time when you buy mugs, the logo or the message is on one side, and it's usually on the side where you have to pick up your left hand. This is on both
Mhm.
sides. So it doesn't matter if you're left handed or you're right handed. And it's not one of those cheap cups that you pick up and it's light. I said, this thing got some weight to it. This is no
Yeah.
cheap stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really encourage you to buy any one of the products from Gray Lives on the Rise. It just kinds of, it reminds you to make sure that you stay in your authoritative, seasoned, mature self. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
can be young and look young
Yes.
appropriately. However, exercise and do all of that, but we still maintain the wisdom as the
Yes.
elders in our families. And so, yeah,
That's
absolutely. Thank you for
that we so
sharing.
rightfully earned. We are not casting out the years. No,
Yeah,
it's not about that. It means that because we have the years of wisdom, it
yeah.
doesn't mean that we can be dismissed. So
Mhm.
our years, we honor the years, and we are great
Great lives on the
lives
rise.
on the rise. We are who? We are what? We are who?
So
Plus, we
join
are
the
what?
movement. Join the movement.
Great lives on the rise. All right,
We are what?
beloveds. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Sharon.
you. You are so
We love
welcome.
you all. And until next week, everyone,
Namaste.
be cheerful, blessed, and happy. Great lives on the rise. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more, and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.